Okay, so parallel lines, you should probably remember, have the same slope, while perpendicular lines, their slopes are negative reciprocals. So for example, if you know the slope of one line is 1/2, then the slope of the second line would be -2 over 1, or just -2. Functions is a relation, or functions happen if for every x value there is a unique y value. So here's how I have students remember it. If you look in the dictionary, x comes before y. If you look in the dictionary, also domain comes before range. So x's are the domain values and y's are the range values. And if you look in the dictionary, boy comes before girl, so x's are the boys and y's are the girls. And so just like in real life, we can have no cheating boys. So when I look at this first set, that's just a set of ordered pairs, I go through and I check every single boy and see if any of these boys are cheating. In other words, they have more than one girlfriend. And of course here they're all dating exclusively, so yes, this one is a function. Now I'm going to look at the next one, again checking all the boys. Oopsies, boy 1 is dating 2 girls. Cheater, this one is not a function. Of course, you probably remember, if you have a graph, an easy way to check it is of course the vertical line test. So of course, if you imagine an infinite number of vertical lines passing through, you just want to see how many times they actually hit the graph. So it hits once there, once on that line, once on that line, once on that line, once on that line. And I don't think I can have anything other than hitting once. So yes, this is a function. Versus when I look at the next graph, immediately I can tell, oopsies, look, this x has 2 different y values, so this one is not a function. Hopefully you remember this next equation, the equation for a circle. Again, note, just like all of your other functions or your other equations, h is still going with x, k is still going with y. It's always a subtraction in there. Of course, it can be a plus, but that's because you're subtracting a negative. So your center still hk, just like on your parabolas, your vertex is hk, and of course this r is the radius. So both chunks, of course, are squared, but I would presume you probably remember that formula. Distance formula is nothing more than Pythagorean theorem. So most of the time, if I were to find distance, I would probably make a quick sketch and plot the points that I was given, and then, so let's say I have a point here, and I want to find this distance. So then I would actually draw, and this doesn't have to be accurate. I just need a visual so that I can figure out what's the length of this leg, what's the length of this leg. And of course I'd get that by subtracting. Here I would subtract a pair of y values, here I would subtract a pair of x values, and that would give me the leg. And then I'm going to square the legs and add them together to equal the hypotenuse squared. So that's where your distance formula comes from. I'm going to write it up here next. You'll probably want to pause the video and copy it in a second. Okay, so I don't know how long that was actually on play for, probably watching me write down the formula, hopefully not too long. But over here I wrote your distance formula. I don't put the subscripts on because it doesn't really matter which one comes first because you're squaring, so it's going to be positive anyways. And then over here on the right I wrote your midpoint formula. Of course, midpoint is nothing more than averaging the x's and averaging the y's.